Fate Certain Death, the role-playing game, takes place in the year 2080 in New York City on the island of Manhattan. Manhattan, or as it's known to residents, the city, has become a semi-deserted ghetto, peopled in part by criminals, addicts, the mentally ill, illegal immigrants, and religious and political extremists. The city government is weak, and law enforcement is mostly ineffectual. Yet the city is a place where people have freedom to live and think as they want, a freedom lost to most of the rest of the country. It is a place where people themselves are banding together to try to make the city a better and safer place to live. The current state of the city is a result of 8 major factors. First, the rise of economically self-sufficient gated communities and other communities built on a similar model. These communities use psychometric technology to make sure that only those best suited to the community are allowed in. The displaced undesirables and nonconformists come to the city. Second, the AI tax, a tax on corporations that use artificial intelligence to replace human workers. The AI tax bankrolls a large welfare system that supports more than half the city population. Third, the drug lords, a conglomerate of city drug traffickers, have established a vertical monopoly on drug trade in the city, cutting the street gangs out of the loop. This has changed the primary focus of gangs from money to community and ideology. Fourth, cheap, full-immersion virtual reality systems have led to VR addiction. More than half the population, mostly welfare recipients, are shut-ins who rarely ever leave their homes, preferring the pleasant fantasy world of VR to the dirtiness and scariness of real life. Fifth, federal, state, and local governments are significantly weaker than they were half a century ago. They suffer under small budgets and a notoriously corrupt workforce. Laws are enforced and infrastructure maintained only to the bare minimum demanded by politically powerful groups, e.g. corporations. Sixth, a plethora of new technologies have made it possible to greatly enhance human ability, especially for those willing to take the risk of experimenting on themselves. These technologies include genetic engineering, psychic training, mental programming, rewiring of neurons to create new brain structures, cybernetic implants, and nanotechnology. Seventh, new laws have made it so that those born on the streets to homeless midwives find it nearly impossible to get birth certificates and ID, and without those to get welfare, legal jobs, or anything more than emergency medical care. This has created a growing underclass of the permanently homeless, forming extended families that teach new generations the skills necessary to survive on the streets. Eighth, and finally, guns are illegal in the city. High-tech scanners keep guns out, and only the most rich and powerful can afford to have them smuggled in. This means most violence in the city is done with weapons such as knives, clubs, fists, swords, and tasers.